Alright, what's going on, guys? Alright, so the brand new Elden Ring Nightreign update just now came out, and with it comes a brand new challenge. The Enhanced Sentient Pest Fight. Now, there is a lot to discuss with this fight. But first off, man, I'm not gonna lie, this one is tough. This is way harder than last week with Enhanced Darkdrift Night. Now, my group barely pulled this off. I was running this with one friend and a random. We barely managed to beat this fight on the first try. If we hadn't gotten lucky with a Knocklateo run and secured the free revives, we definitely would have lost. But this is a very interesting take on the fight. We're gonna go through the whole thing, break this all down, break down the new items that came out this week, and the new patch that just rolled out. So we have a lot to get through. I don't want to waste a bunch of time. But if you want to stay up to date on all things Elden Ring Nightreign, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and now let's get into it. So starting this week with the new weekly rotation in Elden Ring Nightreign, you will now have the option to go on the expedition of the new Everdark Sovereign version of the Sentient Pest Fight. Now, like the others, the run is going to work exactly the same as it has for the regular version. That is up until you get to the boss fight, but I'm sure you already know that. Now, like the other Everdark Sovereign fights, this fight is going to start out in Phase 2. But be careful about running straight up to the boss because the first attack that it's going to do is the Roar. So right when the fight starts, hang back for a bit before rushing in and wait for this attack to go by. Now, if you've already fought Sentient Pest, which you have to in order to unlock this fight in the first place, this is going to function exactly the same as the standard fight in Phase 2, except the entire health bar is now for the second phase. And I may be wrong about this, but to me it felt like it had less health, but I could be totally wrong about that. This first bit was pretty easy to take down. It functions exactly the same, just with extended health, so hopefully you're familiar with this fight. I'm not going to hang on this part too much. Let's go ahead and look at the new stuff. Now, when you finally whittle the health bar all the way down, please do not be like my teammate here and start throwing all your gear on the ground. This fight is not over. The enhanced fight is just now beginning. You will start to see a red spirit moth rising out of the ground, and then it will fly up into the air and start casting this radiance that will revive both the scorpion and the regular moth. Now, what you'll notice about this is that you now have 3 health bars on your screen. Animus Ascendant Light, which is the red spirit moth, Noster Wisdom of Night, who is the regular moth, and then Fartis Stone Shield, which is the scorpion. But the true boss that you're trying to kill is Animus. Now, right now, the fight is functioning virtually identical to Phase 1 of the regular Sentient Pest fight. Although you have Animus up there floating around, it won't be attacking right now. What I recommend is having one person focus on Noster and 2 people focus on the Scorpion, because ideally you want to distract Noster from spraying its spells and poison and killing everybody at once, and have 2 people just go ahead and melt the Scorpion. And the reason for that is because the Scorpion is much easier to deal with, but Animus can also cast a buff like you're seeing here, which will gradually heal them. So that makes it much harder to sit there and whittle down both health bars at the same time, instead of just focusing on one. And the reason you need to get one of them killed as soon as possible is because this will trigger Animus to come over and start to possess the corpse. Now, here is your chance for some big DPS. Get over here and start smacking the crap out of Animus while you can, and do as much damage as possible. On top of that, Animus will sacrifice portions of its own health bar in order to revive whichever one you killed. And since we killed the scorpion here, you will now see that it's covered in these bright red glowing tendrils. Now, during this portion, its moveset will remain mostly the same. However, every attack now leaves these red cracks on the ground that explode after a short time. It's not very hard to dodge, and it is very telegraphed, so I like to kind of rotate around the boss and get out of that AoE. Now, you'll notice here that you're also doing damage to Animus's health bar by attacking this form, though admittedly it's not a ton. It will add up over time. Now, I did notice that the Scorpion, while in this form, had one new attack, where it would start thrashing around on the ground in various directions, leaving again those cracks that will explode. And you gotta watch out for that because it does quite a bit of damage. It ended up killing both of us that were fighting the Scorpion, but our Iron Eye managed to revive us. Now, after that attack, Animus actually left the Scorpion and went back to floating around. And now you're back to square one, where you have to kill either the Moth or the Scorpion in order to get Animus back down. Now, when you kill the Moth, the same thing is going to happen as did with the Scorpion. Animus is going to fly down and begin possessing the corpse, and again, get that DPS in right now. But even if you miss the DPS like I did here, the actual revive process will take a chunk out of Animus's health bar. Now, here's the thing. If you do kill Noster, this is going to be much harder to deal with than killing the Scorpion, because the possessed Moth will have relatively the same spells, but they hit a lot harder, fire more projectiles, and fire at different intervals than the standard moth spells. And on top of that, it's just flying around the whole time, so unless you got 3 iron eyes, you're not going to be able to get in as much DPS as you'd like. Now this form has a version of the attack that creates the raining star cloud. However, this version is significantly harder to dodge, shoots about 5 times as many projectiles, but if you can manage to survive it, the moth will then crash on the ground and lay still for a while, providing a really good opportunity for DPS, and then Animus will leave the corpse, again back to square one. Now occasionally throughout the fight, Animus can do an attack, separate from the corpses, where it spawns these pillars of light all over the arena, and this is extremely dangerous. So just run around until you find an empty spot. It doesn't last very long, but it will end with a big nuke in the middle, so watch out for that. But that is essentially the fight. You're kind of playing this back or forth game with killing either the moth or the scorpion in order to get Animus to come down where you can get your damage in. Now like I said, we would have died here if we didn't have Noclateo on our run. In my opinion, I think this is the hardest fight so far. Enhanced Gaping Jaw was definitely hard, but it was hard because people didn't know what to do. Enhanced Dark Drift I thought was pretty easy, and a lot of people tended to think that as well. I think this one's pretty hard. There's so much going on and it's so easy to just get juggled between the bosses and killed if you're not super careful. But it's definitely doable. Like I said, we did it first try, did get lucky with Noclateo, but we also did not have any fire weapons, which was technically the weakness of this fight. So I'm not sure how much of a difference that makes, but if you are someone that tried fire in this enhanced version, please let us know down below how that performed. But now let's talk about what you get for beating this. Now aside from the standard rewards, upon your first completion of the week, you will get 25 Sovereign Sigils. Sometimes you can get a little bit more than that. I'm not sure all the factors that go into it, but I've seen it happen. And of course, when you get back to the Roundtable Hold and go over to the Collector Signboard, you will now have a new relic to purchase, which is the Dark Knight of the Wise, which increases maximum FP, causes FP restoration upon successive attacks, and permanently increases max FP after releasing the Sorcerer's Rise mechanism. So a very solid relic for Recluse or Revenant, or if you like to play some of the other classes and spam Ash of Wars, I guess you could use it for that too. But if you think of some good combinations, drop them in the comments section below for some build ideas. But the last thing I want to go over is the new patch that hit Elden Ring Nightreign this week. It's not much, it's a bunch of bug fixes, but it is important to look at because some important things have been fixed. Starting out, weapon types will now be displayed in each armament information menu. That's a pretty big one, honestly. I can't tell you how many times in Nightreign I've gotten great axes, great hammers, and regular axes confused, even though I've played Elden Ring for over 1,000 hours. Fixed a bug where matchmaking would continually fail after 2 players joined and left your team at the same time. That's a big one. Fixed a bug where the acquisition of the gesture "It's Raining" through multiplayer would not register properly, and you can now obtain the gesture by meeting the conditions even if you've met them before. Fixed a bug where playable characters might revive from a near-death state without being defeated during the battle with the 3rd day boss after leaving a session and returning from the title screen. Fixed a bug where the background music in the Recluse Remembrance would not play properly when certain conditions were met. Fixed a bug where quitting the game incorrectly immediately after fulfilling the clearing conditions of the Shifting Earth Crater, the Crater achievement would not be awarded despite clearing the area. Well, glad they fixed that for the Platinum. And then several other unnamed bug fixes. But that is everything new this week in Elden Ring Nightreign. Y'all let me know down below, have you managed to kill the Enhanced Sentient Pest yet? This one's definitely tough, but as always, just keep at it, keep trying, eventually you will succeed. This fight is definitely a marathon and not a sprint, so be sure to keep that in mind too. But with all that though, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe if you're new around here, and I will catch you in the next one.